Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and maybe good night for some of you. Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Geoff, right? Oh boy, we've got a treat, like I always say, man, but this once again, you're gonna find out that it's gonna be a dynamite 35 minutes. So make sure you hang out here with us, right? And we want to again thank everybody for setting the time aside to make sure you're here today or you're watching the replay. And as always, drop some chats, show some love, let us know where you're coming from. We love for you to subscribe and share this information, right? Because the power of changing the conversation with yourself about yourself is so beautiful. It changes you, and then it changes the community around you, right? So anyway, as a real estate investor, I always want to make sure I mention that. I'm kind of known as the king of rehabs, and my name is Geoff Tyson, and I am your host of Conversations with Geoff. And how we kind of got to all of this was, part of working with investors and helping other people in the corporate world and just in life in general. And I always felt joy and seeing the person change once they realize the gift that we all have, and recognizing, becoming aware of what we say to ourselves about ourselves, what we allow inside our whole mental process, right? That stuff we read at night, the news, and all the things we get all excited about. And then how it affects us, right? So we came together and my team said, hey man, why don't we create something where we can get a message out there, Geoff? You love to kind of empower, inspire, and motivate people to make sure that they understand the power they have between their ears, right? Those 6 inches, man. And you're going to hear about the connection method today a little bit in our conversations with our guests. But I want you to just think about, how can you be better at protecting the conversation you're having with yourself about yourself, and being aware of that conversation you're having with yourself about yourself, and the conversations that you allow to go on around you, and the things you watch, and all those things, right? And listen, we all love to watch the news. We all like to be in tune. We all like to watch TV, and all that stuff is great. And I do some of that. But I challenge you, let's focus on how life would be just for the moment, right? So today's message, because we always like to leave a message, I'm going to give you a little homework afterwards, is let's don't worry about what you didn't get done yesterday, or what happened to you 10 years ago, or what mistakes you're still carrying along from the past. All right, let's kind of sit that to the sidelines, and then whatever you're worrying about in the future, do the same. Right? I mean, you'll get your bills paid. You'll find a way to eat. You'll find employment if that's what you're looking for. But right now, I want you to come in to this circle, put down your phone, grab your pen. I still have one, right? And get ready, right? Because the guest I'm bringing to you, oh man, it's just a gift from COVID, right? There's some bad things that happen, but one of the things about COVID for me was allowing me to step into the digital platform and meet some really beautiful people. And this is one of those folks that I met along the way, right? So, just a quick bio. Let me get my notes here. She's just a really smart lady, right? She's got a PhD in education, educated and entrepreneur for decades, but here's the thing. She talked about it earlier before I came on. Her journey began when she was 3 years old, man. She realizes that all the way back from then, right? And so she loves to encourage and inspire and embrace people and use innovative, disruptive technology to help people move their life along, right? She's got a PhD at Northeastern University, and she focuses on stress and meditation. Ooh, we all can figure out how to relieve some stress with some meditation, right? I know I can, right? Previous leader and educator in various roles, Dr. Pam, we love to call her, is my friend and our guest. And listen, get some notes out. She's an excellent collaborator, an individual. She starts some groups. We'll give you a chance to hear all that stuff. So let me be quiet and bring to the stage this morning, this afternoon, or right now, my friend, Dr. Pam Wallentiny. Let me see if I can get her up here. Hey, Doc.
Hi, Geoff. Thank you for your kind words.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You know that. I mean, this all comes from the heart. You live what I say. And that's the beautiful thing. Look at that smile, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be with you today.
Yeah, and we're glad you're here. So, and as always, you know, I always like to tell the audience, we'll do our best to kind of go back and forth and keep the conversation moving along, because you and I can talk forever about that.
It's true.
So, you know, I gave him a little bit about the bio and all that stuff. So tell me what's happening. I mean, how's your week been?
It's going well. You know, I think I mentioned to you that you invited me on the show has helped me to reflect. I do want to tell the audience that I have my EDD, not my PhD, and that's okay. That happens a lot, Geoff. Don't feel any kind of way about that.
Okay. No
we both write dissertations. One is more theory, one is more practical, theory to application.
Okay.
That's okay.
Which one did you do?
I did EDD. That's a Doctor of Education.
Doctor of Education.
Mm-hmm. And it happens a lot. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. You know, I'm good. I mean, any kind of initials before.
Right. What's the matter anyway? It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, you're so kind. But all right, I got you now.
That's okay.
Yeah,
and you mentioned about meditation. That's what I did my research on. And then I've really loved what you said about the conversations you're having with yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how can you use meditation, you know, with that? Since you mentioned that. What's the
right. So I'll let the audience know that I practice transcendental meditation specifically. It's secular. You don't have to believe in or be a part of any religion to be a part of it. But I came to do my research on meditation afterwards. I had been practicing transcendental meditation, or TM, already, and now I'm in my 13th year. But when you think about connecting to yourself and connecting to what I like to call everyone or all possibilities as a best description, and because it settles the mind, you know, you just settle the mind. You settle down twice a day. That's a way to connect to yourself. And we need it. We're living with stress and all kinds of things. And not that anyone listening has to engage in transcendental meditation. It's just what worked for me and what they say is simple and effortless. And it works for millions of people worldwide. But there's other meditations that work for people. I just encourage them, let's work on reducing the stress.
Well, you know, as I listen to you and I think about the process of just pausing for a moment, I mean, I'm actually relaxing now. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy, right? I mean, so some people talk, what do you tell people that say, man, I tried meditation and all that stuff doesn't work? What can you suggest maybe that can help someone that really would like to, you know, participate, take advantage of it?
Right. Well, and I would like to validate all of them, because some 20 years ago, a very good friend who's still alive, she's a thriving senior, she introduced me to a different type. You know, people are used to, maybe they've tried it and they, you know, they listen to music, or they have to write, or they say certain things, or they focus on their experience. Or, well, in this case, 20 years ago, she wanted me to pretend I was focusing on a candle and blowing out a candle. I wasn't ready. I'm like, I can't do that. That's weird. So, you know, and of course, back then I had no idea the great benefits. I had no idea. And I had been practicing transcendental meditation before I ever did my research. So then when I did some research, I said, wow, this stuff is significant for the body and the mind.
Yeah.
But what would I tell people? I would tell them, first, embrace where you are, because 20 years ago, I was like, oh, hell no, right? and then it showed up in my life because of Jeffrey Abramson. Again, transcendental meditation specifically, but maybe one type is going to work for you, or maybe it's not, or maybe plain and simple, you know, some of us, if I look back to then, I might not want to, I likely didn't want to let go, right?
Yeah. Let me hold on now.
Right. That's right. And now, boy, come on, letting go is good.
Oh, yeah. It's just like the relief on the other side, right? You know, we used to say letting go with claw marks. You know, oh man, That's a whole nother conversation.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
But people, you asked, what could people do simply and no cost? You know, I don't know if people follow Abraham Hicks or Dr. Joe Dispenza, or if they understand about healing frequencies. They can go to YouTube for no cost, type in healing frequencies, and put in anxiety or stress or joy or good morning, and pick one they like and listen. It's quite profound, those healing frequencies. And you don't even really have to have the volume that high.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you're saying is there's information out there, and just like everything, pick something and then get.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you shared where you were before you started. You know?
Yeah, because I was not doing it well or right, or you don't know what you don't know.
Oh, you know, made me think of something like me, right? Because I was like, man, I tried meditation, and then I had somebody that was helping me. And I said, they said, well, did you try it? And I said, well, yeah, I did. And then what happened? I said, well, I went to sleep.
And you know what they say? They tell us, accept it, right? Accept it, because whatever's happening, that's what you needed at that time. But it's so funny you say that, because that's how we are. We're like hardwired. Like, am I doing it right? Is this working?
Yeah.
But if you fell asleep, you had some deep relaxation.
That's what they told me, right? I mean, because I don't take naps. I'm not that person. I'm like full out all the time, right? And that was a long time ago. So I really appreciate when you are honest enough to share where you were, because that makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
People look at you now, and you got this thing wired and all that. The journey, I know. What were some benefits you got out of it when you first started?
Ooh, from practicing? It's like the gift that keeps on giving. So, and now I understand the research, but no, it's I'll go a little teeny quirky and nerdy, but you take it's like in research, it says you take the prefrontal cortex offline, right? The thinking brain, you relax, we're always engaged. And so in that way, it's like I settled down in a whole new way. And to be honest with people, I don't know that I thought it would work, or I don't know that you don't have to believe in it. You don't have to believe it will work for it to work. It's such a gift. So I feel as if what I need at the given time shows up. I seem to notice that more. I know you'll hear people talk about synchronicity, synchronistic. Yeah. I also think I've heard it referred to in transcendental meditation specifically as spontaneous right action. But so for people watching, Martin Scorsese, there are some very, very busy, highly successful people that practice. And I remember watching him. He's like a director, and he has been practicing a long time. And he said, people will often say, I don't have the time. But I agree with him when I watched him, and it was a recording, and he said, this gives me so much time back because of how you're feeling and present and more in the moment consistently throughout the day. And then if those things that are synchronistic and spontaneous right action show up when you need them, you could imagine that as business owners, right? Yeah. That would make us more efficient, right? Right.
And
less stress.
And less stress, or even parents, or teachers or professionals and things like that. So I love
okay, you went there. I got to go there. All right. So
come on now, let's go.
Some of, TM is in schools. They call it the quiet time.
Yeah.
In California, especially, it's more than 10 years. And they brought it in to teach the faculty, staff, the students. And, when you watch some of the faculty and staff, and these are some of the, I would say, schools that have youth that are characteristically described as at risk, right?
Yes.
And so, and even the faculty and everyone's like, I don't think this is going to work. I don't, we're going to have these kids sit down, quiet time, and it gives me goosebumps. The results have been profound. And then the parents want it because they see their kids coming home. I mean, and their grades improved. So when you say benefits, there are some significant benefits health wise, right?
Yeah.
Intellectually.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're in that flight or fight, we're all going to be not our best self.
Yeah. Yeah.
And worried.
Yeah, worried, caught up in what's going to happen, things that we can't control.
Right.
And I'm hearing, as I listen to you, I'm hearing you say you kind of gain control of your space, if nothing else. Your whole, you find peace.
Yeah, it's actually because you don't have. I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but it's actually because I think you relinquish control of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. You're kind of letting go, right? I mean, you're just kind of surrendering, both physically, mentally, emotionally, kind of. Yeah.
It's like really attempting to go into the silence. Yeah. And then people go, well, if I'm thinking about doing the laundry or I'm thinking about this or that, they're like, hey, just think about it. Yeah. It's like pruning the trees. Just think about it. Let it come, let it go. Again, we can't do it right or wrong, right?
Right.
And just to be clear with everybody, I do not teach this. TM teachers are trained for thousands of hours, and they've been practicing. The woman who taught me probably was practicing 40 years by the time I met her.
Wow. You talk about 10,000 hours as an expert.
It's not like I can go online and get a TM and teach in 2 days.
Yeah, and just so many things that you learn from that, even though you don't teach it, though. What are some other benefits that you have gotten from it, that we haven't touched on yet, just from learning?
Well, you can probably tell I enjoy talking about it because it can really help people.
Yeah.
Meditation it's really a gift. And it was gifted to me. So the David Lynch Foundation, they're always generous and always forward thinking. But when at the start of the pandemic, they offered hospitals, the faculty, the doctors, the nurses, the staff to learn for free.
Wow.
They'll go into some of the neediest, domestic abuse survivors. They'll take it into prisons. I mean, one time, Mario shared that in some of the roughest prisons, one of the gentlemen said, because of this learning meditation, I am more free in here in prison than most people are out. Wow. I said, wow. Right? Doesn't it give you goosebumps? I got goosebumps again. Wow. So I just thought, wow. So the David Lynch Foundation is really first responders, people back from war. The Norwich University, under the leadership of Dr. Richard Snyder, he graduated the first class that practiced meditation, transcendental meditation, before they deployed. Yeah. So, their focus, they said, well, we see what it does when people come back from war. Let's send people having practice and see. And their university focuses on, from the boardroom to the battlefield. Or battlefield to the boardroom.
Yeah. And I mean, that's powerful too, because you can imagine being out there. I mean, and thank God for our servants, our military servants, and appreciate all that they do and the families that they go through, right? I mean, but to have that kind of gift out there, I can see where it would certainly be a powerful experience to have. So man, that's good stuff. So tell me now, because I want to make sure we get to something that you mentioned before, but I got to ask you a question, if you don't mind. We always like to kind of dig in a little bit, and you made and giving us some information. You talked about one of your roadblocks was in a career challenge that had some health things that kind of led to a great beginning. It kind of seems like maybe it ties into what we're talking about. Can you tell us about it? What's going on?
All right. So let's keep this thread of connections. So back in the day, I was primarily in the elementary science classroom in public schools. And I want to just lean in a little bit that one of the things that I knew then when I would work with students who maybe their last chance was with me because they've been kicked out of another school. You always knew when the principal came in and you saw she was telling me I'm getting a student, and I welcomed everybody.
Wow.
But it's because of Pete DeSisto, who I happened to meet. He shared 3 pieces that I believe all of us, regardless of where we are, age even, doesn't matter. We want to connect, we want to feel cared for, and we want to know we have something to contribute. And so now back to Geoff's question, that's what I was doing. I was serving, and that's how I would turn on young minds in a science classroom, alive with hands-on, minds-on science experiments.
Wow.
But the challenge was that the school infrastructure, even though that school was fairly new in the scheme of things, meaning 10 years old for a public school building is not old. They had water leaks and issues and mold. And then I was put on 3 medicines to breathe normally. I'm no longer on those medicines, but now let's get and thread it. Thank you, Geoff.
Yes.
Thread it to this connection and this meditation. It was in that work of advocating for schools, because I came to uncover how, the infrastructure in the United States on school buildings, it needs help now.
Yeah.
Okay, now, right now. It needed help then. That was 2006.
Oh.
All right, so now, if everyone's listening, hang on for this story.
That's right.
Former President Barack Obama is in office. It's January. It's his inaugural, the address. And I'm sitting there. It's 2008. And I'm listening to him talk about social responsibility. Mm-hmm. And I get this download of a letter because what had happened was I had recently learned, and I was researching green buildings. I've recently learned that the greenest building beyond green in the world was opening in Rockville, Maryland.
Wow.
People came from all over the world to see that building. Okay.
Yeah.
So I now think of this. I found out that now former President Barack Obama is talking, and I'm like, social responsibility. Well, what if every student went to a school, where the air would scrub through filters like submarines every 55 minutes, like his Jeffrey Abramson's building, So I wrote this letter, a page and a half. Well, I copied Sonny Abramson at the time, who was alive, and Jeffrey Abramson reached out to me. Wow. I was blown away, and he is such a gift. Oh, he's such a good person. And he was building green before it was the thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he then invited me. We went on a tour of his building. You cannot smell a smell. If it's too hot, the slides go down. All of us want buildings like that, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So he's the one who told me about transcendental meditation.
Okay.
And he has been on the news. He provides it as a health benefit to his employees. Oh, yeah. And then he asked me as we walked and did the tour, Pam, this is our meditation room. And then looking back on that now, he's like, have you heard of transcendental meditation? No. Well, they use the Detroit schools. And so anyway, that's how I came to have TM back in my life.
Wow.
In that way was because of him.
Wow. Wow.
So the block of not being able to go back to the school, 3 medicines to breathe normally, now advocating the letter with former president, that I wrote to President Barack Obama and copied others, and then speaking about schools, at the state level and federal level. It's been,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And education is near and dear to my heart. My daughter's a school teacher, and she is, that teacher that the students, when they see her years later, they're like, oh, thank you. Oh, and that's her gift. And I can hear it in your voice too. Do you miss the classroom?
Well, I went on to go to college. That's funny. I've always had, it was told to me that I had a gift of maybe helping the students who had the most needs to thrive and succeed. Yeah. And if I used to tell people, I don't know if that's a gift. I said, what it is I believe in them until they believe in themselves.
Ooh. Ooh.
And I meet them where they are, right?
Yeah.
Individualized.
Yes.
If they show up in my freshman, I'm no longer a professor either, but if they show up in my freshman English class and I know they write at 10th grade, okay, I can get them there. I tell them they have to meet me halfway, but so I'm not going to, even though I have a class of say 30 or 40, 25, I'm not going to treat everyone cookie cutter. It doesn't work. So it is exhausting, but it's so profound.
Yeah. And exhausting is the word, but on the other side of the exhaustion is the pleasure of knowing what the impact, right?
Right.
And I can see a smile on your face when you talk about it. And same with Kylie, right? I mean, that's her daughter, I got to help this one. You are, meet them where you are, like you said, and then hold on to them until they learn to hold on to themselves. Love them until they learn.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's why now the thread, it's partly why we still talk and connect. When you focus on building great connections.
Yes.
And I realized all my life, that's what I've been doing. So even the clients that I've had that I coach, that's not cookie cutter for me either. I may work with them one-on-one one time or 8 times. They don't all need the same thing. And the first thing they're going to hear from me is if I don't have what they need to help them and recommend them to someone else.
There you go. Keeping that thread alive, right?
Yeah.
And so tell us about, we're moving into that because I wanted to, I'll make sure we talk about the connections group, but tell us about those folks and that expertise you're sharing now with the older population.
Yeah, so and I hate to even say older because it's me and you too, right?
I know. More mature, more
distinguished. That's right. Ooh. So it's typically I'd say 50 and above, right?
Yeah.
There are people that want to either have a business or grow business, or maybe they're looking to consider a business, either full-time or a side hustle, right?
Yeah.
But they want to either use social media more effectively. They have to already know Zoom. I won't train everyone from scratch. And to be quite frankly, the way they change things now, I don't even know I'm an expert in any of it.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. It is.
They do.
Yeah.
So, and with my show, #On Point with Dr. Pam, it's the same here with Conversations with Geoff. We want to up level and help people.
Yes.
And so the people that I bring to my audiences are people that are in business, and often they've had extensive, varied backgrounds, just like you and I have. So, and now they're in business, and that's what I want. I want a platform like that, Geoff, like what we're doing, to bring people like your real estate investing, people that choose to work with you and learn from you. What a gift.
Thank you.
It's such a gift.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And for the things that you do for us on a Wednesday morning group, and that, I don't know if you want to mention that while we're talking about.
I love that. Okay. And people are, listen, I always tell people, be skeptical and open. It's the best place to be. Skepticism's okay. Skeptical and open is the best place to be.
That's right. I love it.
So we started Great Connections right about the beginning of the pandemic. And it is a virtual networking group that meets Wednesday very early, 7:30 Eastern. But Geoff knows we have people that come from California. People come from all around the world.
Yes.
I'd say the most we have is about 22 right now, and the least around 12. But it's growing, and that's what we want. We want to work with people and help people who bring us joy. Yeah. So, that's my vision for that. It's about connections and who can we connect people to.
Yes. And that's the thing. I mean, and that thread is a common thread of giving back and serving, and everybody just shows up being who they are too, right? I mean, you set the tone, and you provide a platform for people just to come in and plug in and get charged, or just listen, or be connected to feeling and people caring. So I really love that.
And people are in different places with their business, right? Starting out, finding their way. And then there are people who have been in business for quite a while.
Yeah.
So it's, we embrace people, right?
Yes,
Hopefully we help each other excel.
I think that's the benefit of it. One of the side benefits of that is people sincerely reach out, and I've experienced it, trying to help you with something that you might need, right? And again, it's about community and up-leveling folks. So I really appreciate you inviting me to that group. So just really quickly, I noticed I can't see the chat, so please make sure you're dropping some love in here for Dr. Pam and let us know where you're from and any thoughts that you might have, and because you can see that as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, that she's here to serve, and anybody that just lights up the world with that smile like she does.
Thanks.
we want to make sure we take advantage of that. So please, I can't see. That's why if you're in the chat right now for whatever reason, I can't see you. So blow it up anyhow. We'll be sure to get back to you. So sorry, Doc. I just want to make sure you got it.
Yeah, thank you.
And that. So,
I have a feeling about you and me. We're going to crush it big on stages. I do. That's been since I was third grade. I had that vision. I don't know. It's full. It hasn't totally been revealed to me yet, but there's something there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're already showing up and doing that. That's amazing that you mentioned that. I don't know if I say this a lot, but when I was old enough to see and watch TV and recognize the news, I thought I would always want, man, I can tell the news, and no, you can't.
So negative though. Woo!
Well, that's on TV, right? News,
right.
Yeah, I didn't understand what they were talking about. I want to be on TV and wear a tie, and then my friends would tell me, well, how can you be on TV? You can't even read. And then you, all those things we go through, right? But we still show up. And that's why the community is so important. And that's why the conversations we have with ourselves are so important. And that meditation piece, just letting go and connecting. I love it. So now I have to make sure because I wrote down a couple of things I wanted to make sure the world heard about you before I get away. And so we talked about the great connections. Is there anything else that you can share with us about the third grade and that journey?
Oh, you want to hear about third grade? Okay, so this might go a little deep. I'll keep it light because we're at the end. Yes. So I had a book report to do on Ponce de Leon, and come to find out, I wasn't that there wasn't the full history. It's apparently he used Indians, for forced labor and things like that, American Indians, and so. But in the book. Apparently there was this fountain of youth. Okay, now that was not the point of the book. It's even a myth. People today, historians, don't even think that was like legitimate. Right. But for whatever reason, to make it real clear for our audience, that stuck with me. And I would go around the house telling my mom, oh my God, what if there was a fountain of youth? What if there was a fountain of youth? She would be like, really? Stop already. It wasn't even the point, right? It wasn't the point, but I felt like they stayed in that space in that particular book that I had, or that version. I certainly didn't get the full scale and scope of what, he had done. But so with that, and then I kept having this vision. She was like, please stop. But I went on and on, okay?
As kids do, relentless to the end.
I went on and on. And so I tell the audience this, I bring that up for this reason. I want everybody to understand that if you will stay in touch a little bit with other technologies, you'll find out there's options for people to age beautifully and gracefully and very differently. And then what was happening around that time too is the whole, I would have this vision of being on these big stages and I would be talking to masses of people. And I still to this day, and then you brought it up to me before.
Yes.
Geoff has said a time or two, and I don't know what the message is, but I know in my heart, even back then, it's something that's needed and deep and profound. Many people in your audience know John Maxwell.
Yeah.
Okay, John Maxwell, leadershipfoundation.org.
Yeah.
Well, when you go to jmlf.org, you see his big vision, right? And his big vision is transform lives, transform communities, transform nations. And every time I see that stadium and he's sitting there on his website, I'm like, ooh. And then you asked me, I'm like, Geoff and I are closer. We're closer.
Yeah, we are. And we keep showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk a lot about this and the vision that you shared, that's your vision. That's for you to achieve, no matter what people say. Mm-hmm. And people say, well, how can you do that? There's no way you can do that. But you know what? They didn't get the vision that you got.
Right.
And you are meant to serve in that capacity. So I just want to make sure that you don't forget me when you get there.
No, I'm serious. I think you and I can take stages by storm. The largest group I've spoken in front of is about 150. So I don't know if I'll bumble and babble when I'm in front of thousands.
Hey, you might, but as long as you're you, hey, that's all we ask for. I mean, you've always been that way. The consistency in your heart and then your message and your desire to serve is just overwhelming. So I'm glad we were able to connect.
Thank you, Geoff.
So now let me make sure that you had the opportunity to let people know where they can get a hold of you. You want to kind of mention those because I can't put them in.
Sure, that's okay. If people, the easiest way is if people go to buildinggreatconnections.com, they'll see they can click to register. Now you might not have a business. And if you click to register and you let me know that you don't have a business, I can reach back out to you. Okay. For people that have in virtual networking can serve them, go to buildinggreatconnections.com and I'll reach out to you that way. And we'd love to grow that group. Great people know great people.
That's right. And so I encourage anybody that's curious and looking for a community to make sure you take her up on that. And whether, like she said, you're in business or not, thinking about it, or you're married and you want to do something in relationships or whatever that situation might be, I believe that there'd be a spot for you in there, right?
So, totally. I mean, they could work with you and if they're curious about real estate investing, Lynn, there's so many wonderful people in there.
Yeah, want to get an advantage on learning how to reduce debt from the Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's right. Debt-free Santa shows up. We get Santa Claus every week. I love it. Daryl and Bob. What? Netherlands sometimes, Florida, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, California, people, Canada. People come from all around.
From all around. So we'd love for you to kind of take us up on looking at that. So, well, Dr. Pam, listen. I told you I wouldn't keep you any longer than I got one more minute to keep my promise. Any parting words you want to leave us with as we kind of wind this thing down? It's been great too. Thank you for showing up today. Anything you can leave us with? I mean, I've got notes here: connect, care for, something to contribute, just hands on, minds on. Wow. Any last words you have for us?
I'm going to use what you started with. You encourage people to watch the conversation they have with themselves and about themselves. And so we're going to end with that because your work here is significant and people need to be reminded to be kind to themselves.
Yeah.
Watch that voice. That voice needs to be, you need to be Team Geoff, Team Pam, Team whatever your name is first.
Yeah, so true. So, hey, well, listen, my friend, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Sorry it took so long, but it was well worth the wait. And I hope folks reach out to you and we'll have you back on, again, because there's some other things I made notes on that I'd like to talk to you about when you come back the next time. So,
I'd love it. It'd be an honor.
All right. Well, take care, Dr. Pam, and I'll see you later. All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Hey, all right, man. Woo! I told you, and man, just so many things that she shared and the whole piece around meditation and incorporating that into your lifestyle. And you don't have to be an expert, man. Find something that you can do to help you reconnect by letting go. right? Just imagine yourself running, out in the open on the beach, and just work with me here for a moment, right? Beautiful. I like the beach, so just humor me. We're all on the beach right now, right? We hear the water, we feel the waves. It's a beautiful day. Sun's shining, but it's not too hot. The birds are flying around you, right? You can feel the mist from the ocean and the waves just coming at you, and just peace and just letting go, right? We all just let go just for a moment. So my challenge to you this week is when you're about to lose your mind, about to do something crazy, when you just feel like you can't take anymore, stop. Close your eyes. Not if you're driving, right? But just close your eyes and just stop for a minute. And remind yourself that you are worthy and you can make it one more day. Focus on where we are right now. Quiet the noise going on in your head. And remember, come hang out with Conversations with Geoff. Think about the connections group Dr. Pam mentioned. And I want to tell you this. There is no better time than now to step into your real purpose, to step into who you're meant to be. And I know it's scary, and I know it's like, oh, how do I do it? You do it by taking that first step. Like Dr. Pam said, we have a big mission to share and grow our groups. And we can't do that without taking action, without showing up. So my challenge to you today is remember the ocean, remember the breeze, right? Remember those birds flying. Hopefully they don't drop anything on you while you're standing there. Hey, if they do, take a shower when you get home. But anyway, just relax. Bring yourself back to just now. And remember, we love you. We appreciate you. Become a part of the community of Conversations with Geoff. Share, subscribe, share, whatever that is. And let's help build this community one show at a time. All right. Hey, listen, got to go. Have a great rest of your day. Appreciate you. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.